Another Wednesday, another episode of the Alien Earth. The episode 6 started of in the Prodigy Island. We then saw Wendy with her newfound xenomorph, which she mimicked in the last two episodes. Just then at the other end, we saw Hermit and Kirsch discussing about the hybrid maintenance. Hermit was concerned about Wendy's future and how she was going to be maintained if she eventually leaves. Just then Kirsch asked Hermit if he thinks Cavalier will let him take Wendy. Hermit responded, but uncertainty filled his voice. Kirsch briefed Hermit on things Wendy can do and how it's impossible for her to return to Hermit. The next scene shows Nibs unconscious and Sylvia briefing them on how Nibs thought she was pregnant and what she has gone through in her past. She proposed a therapy to fix Nibs, and it was rejected as they wanted a full memory wipe. Sylvia rejected doing it, and Dame Sylvia agreed to do it. Just then Arthur was fired. The next scene shows Cavalier and Yutani in what looks like a meeting. We then get to understand Yutani is seeking for the return of the Ust's Maginot as it belongs to her. Just then Cavalier interrupted, saving her Maginot, crashed in his city and killed many. Cavalier claims she can have her Maginot back as soon as he can remove it without knocking of his building. Yutani offered a compensation for the cost and Cavalier rejected, saying it's not about money. Cavalier then revealed the biological specimen Yutani is desperate to get back as she was smuggling it into the planet. Yutani claims it is untrue and Cavalier immediately wanted to bring out evidence. Just then she informed Cavalier to wait, also adding they are proprietary specimens which are to be studied at an off-planet research facility, which is where they will be transferred to if Cavalier stop holding them hostage. Yutani offered Cavalier $10 billion for his pain and suffering. Just then Cavalier mentioned $20 billion. Yutani dropped it down to $15 billion and Cavalier raised it to 25. Then Yutani agreed to $20 billion. Cavalier then agreed to send it out as soon as the quarantine is over. Yutani disagreed with this and then offered $50 billion to take possession immediately. Another to frustrate Yutani. Cavalier declined the offer and stick to the $20 billion initial agreement as he claims it isn't safe for the planet. The next scene shows Kirsch and Morrow in an elevator. They had a little chat, and just then Morrow left. Back to Nibs. Sylvia got to work and erased her memory. Nibs woke up with Wendy by her side. Wendy noticed something was wrong with her memory and told her what they did in the past. Nibs sounds confused because she can't remember doing any of those. Wendy then brought the discussion of her having a baby, and Nibs still looked confused. Wendy then left knowing what has happened. Meanwhile, Slightly still talking with Morrow, persuade him to speak to Hermit. Just then Hermit was called on to. Back to Wendy, she kept on mimicking the xenomorph, trying to understand it. Kirsch had Cavalier now on their way back from the meeting. Kirsch called Toodles, telling him to check the data of an experiment from last night. Toodles, now inside the lab, did as instructed and fed the specimens. As he tried to feed the last one, the handle broke. He then opened the door, went inside to drop the food. Just then he was startled by the sheep, and the door ended up closing on him. Toodles looked up and he saw an alien. It hopped on his body and released a poisonous fluid which killed him. The next scene shows Wendy and Sylvia talking about Nibs. Wendy claims Sylvia didn't ask for Nibs' consent before wiping her memory, and it making them look like a research project. Arthur, now packing up his things as he had being sacked, was being met by Hermit. Arthur was asked if Wendy is safe being at the Prodigy Island. Before answering Hermit, Arthur looked at the camera, then answered saying of course. He then pretended like he is showing Hermit Wendy data to prove she is safe, only for him to inform Hermit through the computer to take Wendy out while also dropping a boat code. Arthur then went ahead to show Hermit Wendy vitals and used the opportunity to disable her trackers. Hermit thanked Arthur and then left. Just then the machine started to beep. It shows Toodles' trackers has also been disabled. Guess we know why. It also showed his last location and Arthur went there. Slightly unbeknownst of him being watched by Kirsch, followed Arthur into the lab. Arthur saw Toodles' lifeless body and he went to open the door. Arthur tried to pull Toodles out while calling unto Slightly. Just then he saw another door opened. Arthur rushed out, but the door was locked. Still thinking Slightly was on his side, he told Slightly to open the door. Just then Slightly informed him that Morrow has his family. Arthur tried using the landline to call for help, but was immediately attacked by a face-hugger. Kirsch remained silent while watching all this happen. Slightly entered back into the lab and hid Arthur's body. The episode 6 of Alien Earth then came to an end. If you want more recap, tune in next Wednesday. Thank you, and don't forget to subscribe.